Some places try to forget what happened there. Missouri tried to bury it, but the ground remembers, so phasm as Alvarez. And sometimes, so do the voices. There are lights in the woods that shouldn't move, tunnels under cities no one can trace, cabins that only exist when you stop looking directly at them. These aren't ghost stories, they're files, coordinates, ruins left behind by people who disappeared too quietly. Some of them were erased, some of them tried to warn us, and some never left. Lock your doors, put on your headphones, and pull the blanket up tight, because after this video you'll never see Missouri as just another state again. The ghost light of Hornet. It waits at the state line. Some lights guide travelers. This one waits for them. Just west of Joplin, Missouri, near the tiny community of Hornet, there's a stretch of old gravel road locals avoid after dark. It has no official name anymore, but people around here call it Devils Prominard, because when the sun disappears behind the tree line, something else appears in its place, a floating orb of light, bright, pale orange, sometimes white. It hovers above the road, about shoulder height, then moves, left to right, back to front, and sometimes straight towards you. It doesn't blink, it doesn't flicker, and it doesn't care if you're watching, because it's been seen for over 140 years by soldiers, settlers, children, cops, truckers, tourists, and it's still there. The first official reports date back to 1881, long before cars or power lines. Native tribes called it a warning light. Locals blamed ghosts. Scientists blamed headlights, until they realized it was seen before headlights existed. And even today, they can't agree on what it is. In the 1940s, the US Army tried to investigate. They sent survey teams, radio technicians, even aerial observers. The conclusion: light source undetermined. They left. The light stayed. In 1955, a newspaper editor from Kansas City went to Hornet with a photographer. They waited all night. Nothing. Then just past 2 a.m., the light appeared. It hovered in place, then drifted toward them, fast. They ran. When they developed the film, the frame with the light was completely overexposed, and the film after it was blank. The editor never published the story. Some say it's ball lightning, others think it's earthquake lights caused by tectonic tension. But there's a problem with that. Hornet has no seismic activity, no gas pockets, no underground lines, no natural explanation, just a light. And the feeling that it knows when you're watching. People who get too close describe something else. Sudden temperature drops, hair rising on their arms, a sound like low humming that stops when they speak. One woman in 1993 claimed the light passed directly in front of her car. She said, "I thought it was a motorcycle headlight until it lifted. It floated across the hood, paused at my window, and I swear I saw something inside it, something watching me." Tourists still visit Hornet. They bring cameras. They wait on the road. Some leave with photos. Some leave with static or corrupted memory cards, or nothing at all, except that feeling, like something saw them first. The light doesn't chase, it doesn't warn, it just appears. Same stretch of road, same height, same silence. And every time someone new comes to see it, it's already there. Locals have a saying, if you see the light once, you'll see it again, but never from the same direction. No one's ever touched it, no one's ever measured it, but thousands have seen it. And every year someone else does. Because whatever it is, it's still walking that road, waiting. Some lights drift in the trees, others rise from underwater. And when the drought hits Table Rock Lake just right, an entire town reappears, but not the way it was buried. The lost town beneath Table Rock Lake. What was buried didn't stay gone. Some towns die in silence. This one came back missing pieces. Before it was a lake, Table Rock was a landscape of valleys, roads, and entire communities. Dozens of towns dotted the southern Missouri countryside, small farming settlements with schools, churches, courthouses. Then in the 1950s, the US Army Corps of Engineers built a dam. The area was cleared. People were relocated, buildings dismantled. The valley was flooded, and those towns disappeared, or so they said. Every few decades, Missouri faces drought, and when the water drops low enough, pieces of the past surface again. Foundations, steps leading to nowhere, walls of stone too clean to be natural. But something's wrong. Locals who've explored these ruins say the buildings don't match the maps. One man from Shell Knob who grew up fishing on the lake said this in 1992. "I remember the old Baptist church. It was white, wood, and faced west. But what came out of the water? It was stone, and it faced the wrong direction." In 2007, during one of the lowest lake levels on record, drone footage captured something bizarre. Rectangular structures in the water, perfectly symmetrical. Not ruins. Rooms. One had a metal frame still standing. Another had stairs that led down. But there were no records of basements in the original towns. No blueprints, no permits, and no survivors who remembered anything like them. Divers who've gone down during dry seasons report dead silence beneath the surface, a pressure in the ears that builds fast near the ruins, openings in the walls that seem to lead deeper, but are too narrow for any modern diver. One diver in 2016 claimed he reached a corner structure and saw a door underwater, still intact. He knocked, and said he heard a knock come back. The Army Corps denies any hidden infrastructure. They claim it's erosion, natural formations, but the stonework is too precise, too sharp, too intentional. Locals now warn visitors not to walk the exposed floor of the lake when it drops too low. Not because of the mud, but because some parts don't feel right. One man stepped into a square depression and said it was colder than ice. His boot got stuck, and when he pulled it free, the sole was partially melted. And then there's the metal room. In 2022, a team using sonar picked up a hollow chamber beneath the mud. 4 walls, 1 entrance, no roof. They plan to return and investigate. 2 days later, the coordinates led them to a blank area. No chamber, no readings, nothing. But their original sonar image remained. No one knows why certain structures reappear, or how they were built without any trace in public records. All they know is, the deeper the water goes, the stranger the buildings get. And some of them don't seem old, they seem recent, too recent. Some say the lake buried more than towns. It buried experiments, secrets, facilities built fast and silenced faster. But if that's true, they weren't buried deep enough. Some structures drown, others were never meant to be found. And beneath the streets of St. Louis, there's a tunnel sealed tight since the Cold War, but something still moves down there, and every few years, someone hears it. The tunnel beneath St. Louis, built for war but leads nowhere. Some tunnels take you somewhere. This one forgets you went in. St. Louis is known for its bridges, its blues, and its underground. Beneath the city, there's an old network of steam lines, fallout shelters, and service tunnels. Some are mapped, some are sealed. But one was never explained. Locals call it Tunnel 28, even though there's no record of Tunnels 1 through 27. It starts with a sealed hatch near an old rail line in the industrial west side. Concrete, no signage, just rusted hinges and a faint stamp. Restricted, 1957. The city says it's decommissioned military utility access, but that hatch leads somewhere that doesn't match any existing blueprints. In 1998, a group of urban explorers cut through the welded frame. Inside they found a descending stairwell, bare cement walls, air thick with dust, but no sign of decay. The tunnel stretched for nearly 900 meters, perfectly straight, no branching, just walls and silence. Then it turned sharply and stopped, a dead end. But not like a collapse, like it was never meant to go farther, except there was a humming sound, barely audible, like distant machinery, faint, constant. One of the explorers, who recorded audio on a cassette, captured 12 seconds of vibration. Then the tape jammed. When they played it back later, they could hear a metallic scrape, a footstep, then a knock, 3 times. They never went back. City officials deny knowledge of Tunnel 28. But satellite imaging from 2012 showed a heat signature beneath that block, consistent with either a power source or something alive. A Freedom of Information Act request turned up nothing, just a file stamped Reassigned Energy Project 12B. No project with that code exists. In 2016, a private contractor working on sewer lines nearby hit a sealed steel wall 8 meters below street level. It rang hollow. They contacted the city. By morning, the hole was patched, and the worker who reported it was transferred out of state. Since the early 2000s, nearby residents have complained of low-frequency noise at night cell phone dropouts around specific intersections, and once a year, always in late October, a sound like ventilation starting up below the street. A local bar owner said, "It's like a building waking up, only there's no building there." Some believe it was a Cold War listening station. Others think it was part of a now-abandoned rail system, but the scale doesn't match either. And the equipment found near the end of the tunnel, military-grade cable conduit, stamped 1963, wasn't listed in any local procurement. So why was it sealed? Why is the structure still warm on thermal scans? And why, in 2020, did an independent researcher who returned to the site report this? "I stood near the sealed wall. Something knocked back. There are no ghosts here, no blood, no shadows, just concrete, silence, and the quiet hum of something that never quite turned off." If Tunnel 28 was built for war, what war hasn't ended? Some secrets are buried under cities. Others were left out in the open. And in the woods near Marble Hill, a house once stood at the center of a cult. It burned down overnight, and no one remembers who lit the fire. The cult house of Marble Hill, the fire that erased everything. Some places are haunted by spirits, others are haunted by silence. In the Ozark foothills of Missouri, not far from the town of Marble Hill, there once stood a house deep in the woods. No road led to it, no neighbors ever visited, and for nearly a decade no one spoke of what went on inside. Until one night in October of 1988, the house burned to the ground. And just like that, the silence got louder. Locals had always whispered about it. A retreat center, some said. A religious group from out of state, others claimed. But no name was listed on the property. No church records, no tax filings. And the sheriff's office? No official file exists today. A former Marble Hill firefighter who responded to the blaze said this in a rare 2003 interview. "It was strange. The flames were too clean, like it had been prepped to go fast. No furniture, no clothes, just space. But they did find one thing in the ashes, a metal circle of chairs, arranged in a perfect ring. 12 total, no remains, just burn patterns. The next day, the land was sealed. Signs went up. Private, do not enter. Then came the black trucks, unmarked, gone by morning. And that's when the stories started. A former teenager who lived nearby said her father warned her, "If you ever see people walking from that direction, go inside, lock the door, don't ask questions." Some claim the group was a breakaway sect from a larger denomination, but no documents were ever found. Others say it wasn't religious at all. They say it was ritual-based, that there were symbols drawn on the trees near the property, and that at night you could hear chanting in a language no one recognized. In 1997, nearly a decade after the fire, hikers found what looked like a stone basement still partially intact. Inside, burnt pages nailed to the wall, a mattress frame and a carving over the arch that read, "They saw us first." The hikers never returned. Locals say the fire was a reset, a way to shut the door on something that had gotten too dark. But strange things still happen near the ruins. Game cameras glitch only on that side of the forest. Dogs refuse to cross the boundary of the old property line, and sometimes at night, people hear footsteps pacing in a circle, always 12. One investigator who tried to access county records said, "It's like the property was erased before it was even listed. It doesn't show up on deeds, but it's real. The land's still there, and something's still on it. The townspeople still don't speak about it. Some say they're afraid of being watched. Others act like it never happened at all. And a few, when asked, simply say, 'There was no house, you heard wrong.' But if you drive down Route HH and pull off onto the old utility road, you'll find a trail that leads nowhere, until it doesn't. Because the stones are still there. So is markers. And if you walk far enough, you'll find the chairs. Some rituals burn in daylight, others leave no fire, only screams. And along a stretch of back road in southern Missouri, there's a place where the air gets still, right before something starts following you home. The screams from Devils Prominard, heard but never found. Some roads lead you away from danger. This one drives you into it. Locals call it Devils Promenade, a lonely stretch of dirt road where Missouri kisses the edge to Oklahoma. By day it's just trees, grass, gravel, but by night it listens. The stories go back to 1866, when Civil War deserters claimed to hear screams in the woods. Not animal, not human, something in between, always behind them, never visible. They called it the Whistler, but it doesn't whistle anymore. Now it screams. Drivers report the same thing: you're alone, engine quiet, and then a sound rips through the silence. Not close, not far, just near enough to freeze you. In 1974, a school bus stalled near the tree line at dusk. The driver walked out to check the road. The children inside heard him yell once, then nothing. He was found 20 minutes later sitting by a tree, shoes gone, mouth open, not a scratch on him. He never explained what he saw. He never drove again. In the 1980s, a paranormal group set up a microphone array across a half-mile of Devils Prominard. They captured 3 sounds: a sharp metallic bang, heavy footsteps on gravel, though the road was empty, and at 3:06 a.m., a scream that distorted the audio so violently it fried the recorder's internal chip. The original tape was sent for analysis. It came back labeled human, but altered. No predator native to Missouri makes this sound. No wind hits that pitch. No prank has lasted over a century. People say the screaming starts with a pressure in the ears, a tingling in the hands, or silence that feels too silent. Then the noise, long, high, then cut off like someone was pulled backward mid-breath. Some drivers say the sound moves with them. One woman in 1999 said, "It stayed just behind my window the whole drive. I kept thinking I'd see someone in the mirror, but there was no one, just gravel and moving." Others describe the sensation of being followed for days after hearing it. Car alarms go off by themselves, dogs won't go near the tires, and at 3 a.m., phones light up. No calls, no notifications, just light. There's one tree along the promenade with scorch marks on one side only, and the bark shaped like a mouth wide open. Locals call it the screamer tree. Someone tried to cut it down in 2005. The blade snapped in half. The man who swung the axe lost hearing in one ear for the rest of his life. The city doesn't mark the road anymore. Tourism sites don't mention it. And GPS tends to reroute when you get too close, but the locals, they just say, if you hear it once, you'll wait your whole life to explain it, and you won't. No one's seen what causes the scream, and maybe that's mercy, because the only thing worse than hearing something like that is knowing what it looks like. Some screams fade, others echo inside buildings that don't exist, and deep in the Ozarks, hikers report finding a cabin with no door, one that moves, and one that remembers who saw it. The cabin that wasn't there, in the Ozarks. Some cabins offer shelter. This one waits too long to be seen. In the deep woods of the Missouri Ozarks, there's a path that doesn't have a name. It doesn't show up on trail maps. It doesn't appear on GPS. But people find it anyway, by accident. And what they find at the end shouldn't be there. It's always described the same way. One-story log structure, small porch, 2 shuttered windows, no door, just walls. Thick, too clean to be old, too quiet to be empty. The first known account came from a hunter in 1972. He was tracking deer off-trail when he came across the cabin. He circled it twice. No signs of entry, no footsteps in or out. When he blinked, it was gone. He swore he saw it again in a dream that night, but this time, there was someone looking out the window. Over the next 50 years, hikers have continued to report the same thing, a cabin where there shouldn't be one. It appears suddenly, then vanishes. Sometimes it follows the hiker, appearing again a mile later. Phones glitch, time warps, compass needles spin in place, and sometimes the windows are open. A pair of hikers in 2011 set up a GoPro after finding the cabin. They left it recording outside and returned to their campsite. The next morning, the camera was there, but the footage was corrupted, except for 5 seconds. A figure standing still in the window, not facing out, not facing in, just there. No face, no motion. Then, gone. In 2019, a cartographer working with satellite overlays noticed something strange, an anomaly in elevation data, just big enough to be a structure. He hiked to the location with 2 local guides. They saw it, all 3, but when they returned the next week with LiDAR equipment, the site was flat, no structure, no footprint, just soft soil. and a single nail sticking out of the ground. Locals say it's not a ghost cabin. They say it's a trap that the woods shape themselves around you once you enter that zone. That if you see the cabin, don't approach, because it doesn't just want you to see it. It wants you to remember it. And once you do, it finds you again. A man who once lived near the base of that valley said this in a 1996 interview. "I used to see the lights from my porch, thought it was campers. Then I realized no one ever comes out of that part of the woods." The strangest part, when people try to draw the cabin later, they can never agree on the details. Roof angle, porch size, number of windows. But every sketch has one thing in common: a line carved into the wall, like a symbol or an eye, watching. Some say the cabin doesn't exist. Some say it's always existed, but those who've seen it never forget the feeling, not of fear, but of recognition, like something built it for them. Some lights drift, some screams fade, some tunnels seal behind you, but some things stand in place, unmoving, unexplained, and waiting. Missouri isn't just a state of stories, it's a place that remembers what it was told to forget. Tell us in the comments, which mystery stayed with you the longest, and what state should we uncover next? Because some secrets don't want to stay buried.